Hey Algebra 2 students, it's Miss Prater, and I am going to do a video on the Module 5.06 for small group. The problem that they're asking us to do is right here. It's kind of hidden, so I'm going to rewrite it. They're asking us to take 60x to the third and divide it by 12x. And if you're wondering how I know that it's a division problem, that's what the fraction bar represents. It represents a division, top always being divided by bottom. So we'll do 60 divided by 12, which is 5. And then when we divide our x's, there we do have an exponent rule. We subtract the exponent on the top minus the exponent on the bottom. So that's going to give us 5x to the second. And then we have two answers, A and C, that are 5x to the second. But we do have to pick A, and I'll explain why. X cannot be equal to 0 because we can't divide by 0. And if I were to put an x into this spot in the denominator, the numerator can be 0 all day long, but we have a rule that says we can't divide by 0. So if x were 0, I would have 12 times 0 in the denominator, and I would be dividing by 0, which is undefined. So I have to add this little extra, x cannot be equal to 0. We're going to be looking at course of study for Algebra 2, 6, and specifically we're going to be looking at how to answer this question: how do I add and subtract rational expressions? So we're going to start with a rational expression is a fancy word for a fraction. So we're adding, and when we're adding or subtracting, we do have to have a common denominator. So my first example, I have the same denominator. If you'll notice, I have some rules and some guidelines to help you out. In the yellow box, I have what do we do when we're adding and subtracting, and we already have like denominators. And then in the aqua box, what do we do when we're adding and subtracting, and we have unlike denominators. So we're focusing on today on just adding and subtracting. So since these 8 V's are exactly the same, I'm going to follow the steps in the yellow box, which says step number 1, add or subtract the numerators. Remember, numerator means top. And keep the denominators the same. Denominators are what's on the bottom, and then simplify your fraction if possible. So as long as these two denominators are the same, I can write one big fraction, and I can add everything that's in the top. So this is 1u plus 6u, which is 7u, and this is negative v plus negative 3v, which is negative 4v. And then if I can reduce, I will, but I could divide 4 and 8 by 4, but I can't divide 7 by 4. So remember, this is a family. You can't break it up. You could cancel the v's here, but you can't cancel the v's here because there's not a v in this term. So this would actually be my simplified answer. So if the denominators are the same, your problem is going to be a whole lot easier. If the denominators are different, then they're going to be harder. So harder, example 2. So this denominator is 5x plus 4, and this denominator is not 5x plus 4, so I can't use what's going on in the yellow box. I have to go to the aqua box. So when you're adding or subtracting and your denominators are unlike, so they're different, factor each denominator. So 5x plus 4 is already factored, 2x plus 3 is already factored. Number 2, find the common denominator by choosing one of everything. So I have to choose 5x plus 4 and 2x plus 3, and that'll be my new common denominator. It's going to look really ugly. You're probably going to hate this module. Not only does it have a bunch of fractions, but it also has a bunch of variables. So we want one of everything, one of every factor. Make this 4 look a little bit better. So we want one of everything. Number 3, rewrite your numerators, which is the top, who have a new denominator. So this denominator is new because we've multiplied it by 2x plus 3. So that means we've got to multiply the top by the same thing we multiplied the bottom by. This denominator is new because we've multiplied it by 5x plus 4. So that means we got to multiply the top by the same thing we multiplied the bottom by, which is 5x plus 4. Then it says follow the steps for adding and subtracting like denominators. So then I just go ahead and add or subtract the numerators. Before I can add or subtract, though, I do have to distribute. So now I have one giant ugly fraction with 5x plus 4 and 2x plus 3 in the bottom. And I have 2x times 2x, which is 4x squared. And then I have 2x times positive 3, which is positive 6x. Then I have 6x times 5x, which is positive 30x squared. And then I have 6x times 4, which is positive 24x. And then you can simplify your numerator. These two square terms will combine. That's 34x squared. And then 6x, and this is a 4. 6x and 24x combined to be 30x. And then we're still over this common denominator, 5x plus 4, 2x plus 3. If nothing will reduce, and again you have to reduce everything in the whole entire fraction, if nothing will reduce, you're going to call that simplified. We actually have a common denominator in this problem, so we'll follow the rules in the yellow box since we have the denominators that are the same. The only thing that you got to be careful about is that you are subtracting, and I always like to say subtraction is like the devil and it causes us to make mistakes. So you're actually subtracting everything in this second numerator. So I'll bring down what's in the first numerator, m minus 3n, then I'll subtract m, then I'll subtract 3n. So add or subtract the numerators, so that means combine like terms. M minus m will cancel. Negative 3n and negative 3n will not cancel. That's going to give you negative 6n over our common denominator. And then we will get to reduce here. So my n's will cancel, my 6's will cancel, and I'll be left with an m to the third on the bottom. And then if everything cancels out of the top, you put 1 and then you leave the negative. So be careful when you're subtracting. You have to subtract everything in that second numerator. Alright, last example. We do not have a common denominator, so we'll follow the rules in the aqua box. Factor each denominator. X minus 1 is already factored. 4 is already factored. Find the common denominator by choosing one of everything. So that means I'll need a 4 and I'll need an x minus 1. Then I'll look at my old denominator and see what I multiply to get my new denominator, and I multiply by 4, so I'll have to multiply the top by 4. Then I'll look at this denominator to get my new denominator. I multiplied by x minus 1, so I've got to multiply the top by x minus 1. Then I can write this as one big fraction. Before I can combine like terms, I do have to multiply, so that's going to give me 24. Since this is a minus sign, that means the 5x is negative, so negative 5x times x is negative 5x squared. And negative 5x times negative 1 is positive 5x. None of the terms in the top are like terms, so I'll just write the x squared term first, and then the x term, and then the 24, and then I'll put that back over my common denominator. And it doesn't look like anything will simplify here, so this will be my final answer. If you're using the whiteboard along with this lesson today, don't forget that you can download it by clicking this button here and download as a PDF, and it'll save everything that you've written on your whiteboard lesson for the day, and then you can use it on your quizzes and your test. Hopefully this is helpful, and y'all have a great day.